Who got next?
We got next.
Who got next?
We got next.
For how long?
Forever.
For how long?
Forever.
What we gonna do?
Take the kingdom.
What we gonna do?
Take the kingdom.
What we gonna do?
Take the kingdom.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
How?
Yahweh shoot out shot.
How?
Yahweh shoot out shot.
How?
Yahweh shoot out shot.
All right. Start up. Shit. Seems like you got a sergeant. We the Hebrew Israelites, we come weeks in, weeks out to prophesy the downfall of America, in season and out of season. On the behalf of the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, you are the chosen people of the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We give double honors to the elders, salutations to the brothers, and last but not least, we give all praises and glorification and great honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. All right? So give me Isaiah, go to Isaiah 14 chapter. Isaiah 14:21.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21.
Correct.
Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers.
It says prepare slaughter for what?
For his children.
For his children. Now who's the his related to? It's talking about the heathen. It's talking about the heathen. It's talking about the ones that are in rulership right now. The so-called white man, who the Bible identifies as the Edomites, the descendants of Esau. It says prepare slaughter for what?
For his children.
For his children, man. You know what that's called? That's a vendetta. That's recompense. That's payback. What else it say?
Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers.
For the iniquity of their fathers, because they have to pay for the rape, rob, and murdering that was carried out on the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They have to pay for these unspeakable atrocities that happened throughout 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th century, going on up until this present day time. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are still being oppressed by the so-called white man, who the Bible clearly identifies the Edomites. What does it say?
Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land.
That they do not rise, nor possess the land, because we got next. Because after this, there would be no more pillaging lands. There would be no more colonialism. Blacks and Native Americans, Hispanics will rule this earth in the kingdom to come, when the kingdom is fully restored. We would be the governors of the earth. So recompense is coming. So as we, being the Israelites, we need to repent. We need to find what's necessary to work our salvation out, so we'll be able to rule well in the kingdom of heaven to come. Go back to Isaiah 14:12.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
So when you read in the context, when you read it contextually, Isaiah 14 verse 12 talks about Lucifer. Now, you've been told in Christianity that Lucifer is a spiritual demon, or Lucifer is someone unseen, like he's an unseen entity. But how come he has kids? Lucifer has kids. Lucifer has children. Because if you read it contextually, it says, from Isaiah 14:12 all the way to Isaiah 14:21, it says, prepare slaughter for his children. So Lucifer has children. So he's not what the Christian church have led you to believe, but Lucifer is a man, and we're going to show you this. So Isaiah 14:12 from the top.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
This is future prophecy. It hasn't happened yet. So he said, how has thou fallen from heaven? He's speaking in future sense. It hasn't happened yet. Go ahead.
O Lucifer, son of the morning.
Son of the morning. Heaven just means rulership. Lucifer hasn't fallen from his rulership. These top elite families that run this earth, they still in position of power. But slowly their power are being diminished. And they will fall according to Isaiah. They just haven't fell yet. So Lucifer is a royal elite group of people that's running this earth, which are what you would call these 13 international banking families. They will soon be brought down under the rulership of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Go ahead, Op.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Weaken the nations. How did he weaken the nations? Philosophy, tradition, deceit, democracy. You tell me. Religion. That's how he weakened the nations. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Now wait a minute. He said in his heart, he will what?
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Read it from the top, Op. Book, chapter, and verse.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
You don't have to say that in your heart that you will ascend into heaven if you was in heaven from the start. See, that don't make any sense. Because I thought Lucifer was in the heavens from the beginning. So he shouldn't have to say it in his heart that he will ascend in the heavens. He shouldn't have to say that in his heart if he was in heavens from the jump. Go ahead, Op.
I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Say, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. You know what that's talking about? That's talking about the nations getting above us. Primarily the so-called white man, the Edomite. He said he's going to exalt his throne above the stars of God, and he did. He did exalt his throne above the stars of God, but we the reason why he exalted his throne above us. Because if we would have kept the law, statutes, and the commandments and did what thus say the Most High, the God of Jacob, the God of Isaac, and the God of Abraham, if we would have did what the Most High said, then we wouldn't have to deal with this oppressor exalting his throne over the stars. We are the stars. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are the stars of God. So when the Bible talks about the stars, we are the stars of the nation of Israel. Give me a precept. Give me Revelation chapter 12. I'm going to show you that we are the stars. Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. Because we see that Lucifer says he will exalt his throne above the stars of God. Let me show you who the stars are. Revelation 12 and 1. Start from the top. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon.
A woman clothed with the what?
A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet.
That woman is relating to the nation of Israel, which consists of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So this woman had what up under her feet?
It says, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet.
Now that sun and the moon represents wisdom, knowledge, and over-inner understanding, which was given to the nation of Israel. We was given great wisdom, knowledge, and over-inner understanding. That's the woman that was given this great knowledge, the Israelites. Jeremiah 6 and 2. Jeremiah 6 and 2.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 2.
Go ahead,
I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. So the daughter of Zion is a comely and delicate woman. That's talking about Israel, man. But remember I told you I was also going to explain that the stars, that remember in Isaiah 14 chapter, because Lucifer said that he was going to exalt his throne above the stars of God. We went to Revelation 12 and 1 to identify the woman, which is Israel. Now this woman had the sun and the moon underneath her feet. What else?
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
And upon her head, how many stars?
A crown of 12 stars.
And upon her head, how many stars?
A crown of 12 stars.
Crown of 12 stars. 12 stars is alluding to the 12 tribes of Israel. So when the Bible speaks of anybody exalting himself over the stars of God, the stars of God is talking about the Israelites. So when it talks about Lucifer exalting himself over the stars, exalting his throne over the stars of God, that's talking about you Edomites, the so-called white man, the European race, the European nation that the Bible identifies as Edomites that have got above the Israelites. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are at the lowest of the low. You are at the totem pole, and this oppressor has gotten over you. How do we know the stars also is the Israelites? Because we see it right there in Revelation 12, 12 stars, 12 tribes. How do we know the stars also are the Israelites? Go to Genesis.
Genesis chapter 37 and verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream.
This is Joseph. Go ahead.
And told it his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars.
The sun and the moon and the 11 stars, man. Joseph dreamed a dream about the sun and the moon and the 11 stars. Why did he say 11 stars? Because Joseph himself makes up a star, which would be the 12th star. Go ahead.
It says the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obedience to me.
See that? Made obeisance to Joseph, because you know what? Because that came to pass, man. Because Joseph's brothers had sold him as a slave into Egypt, and then ultimately they ended up needing Joseph. They ended up needing him, and his brothers came to him, man. So that prophecy came to pass. That's talking about those 11 stars, including Joseph, are the 12 tribes, man. Now go back to Isaiah 14 and pick out where Lucifer said that he will exalt his throne above the stars of God. And that's what happened when we broke the commandments. Before you get that, go ahead and go back to where you was at, and I'm going to get this precept to also tag on to Lucifer exalting his throne above the stars of God. Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within you shall get above you very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Now what is saying Isaiah 14, what verse?
In verse 13.
Go ahead.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
That's what Lucifer said. Now, is this a spiritual demon? Is this a spiritual unseen entity? Absolutely not. Lucifer is the royal elite banking families that run this earth. Because when you break down the word Lucifer in the Hebrew, Lucifer is Hallel in the Hebrew, which means light bearing. And they bear light to the nations, man. That's why you see Lady Liberty in New York Harbor holding that torch, man. That's why you see on the back of your dollar bill the all-seeing eye, and you see that light illuminating from the eye. Because Lucifer means light bearers. Lucifer means holders of the light, man. Who are they? The Illuminati. Royal elite group of families that's running this earth. And that's ruling the world right now, but their power is soon to dwindle. Their power is soon to be destroyed, man. And these are the same people that's known as Luciferians, man. And Lucifer said that he was going to exalt his throne above the stars of God. Now, did that happen? Absolutely yes, because we broke the commandments. That's how Lucifer exalted his throne. Lucifer could never exalt no throne as long as we kept these commandments. As long as you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans was keeping these commandments, Lucifer could never exalt no throne. And all the other nations would never be above us. But what happened? We broke the commandments, man. Deuteronomy 28:43 says, the stranger that is within us will get above us very high, and we shall come down very low. And so that's why Lucifer exalts this throne above the stars of God. You see that? Now, I'm going to go to Judith and the Apocrypha. Give me what you got while I get that out. Read on. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
See that?
I will sit also upon the mount.
He said, I will sit upon the mount. Now, who is the mount? The mount is talking about the house of Israel. And he's sitting upon us right now, man. He's sitting upon us right now, man. Go ahead.
I will sit upon the mount of the congregation.
I will sit upon the mount of the assembly, man. I would sit among the mount of the church. I would sit among the mount. He said, I'm going to sit on the assembly, man. I'm going to sit on the church. Now, who are the church? The Israelites, man. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He said that he was going to sit on us. Go ahead.
It says, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
In the sides of the north. Now, where's North America, man? This biblical prophecy. He's sitting on you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in North, Central, and South America over here, man. And the rest of these remote areas that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have been dispersed. He's sitting on us right now. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 14.
All right, hold on. Now let me get something in the Apocrypha. Let me go to the book of Judith in the Apocrypha. Now this is Judith chapter 5, verse 17. And while they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hated iniquity was with them. Now the them is talking about the Israelites. It says, so while they sinned not before their God, we prosper. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, before you became wicked as hell, You prospered in everything you set forth your hand to do. Jude 5:17. We prospered because God was with us that hated iniquity. Long as we weren't sinning, we prospered in the eyes of God. And in the hands of God. Jude chapter 5 verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, that's talking about breaking the commandments, man. When they departed from the way which he commanded them, they were destroyed in many battles. See that's why you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's why you're not prevailing at anything. You're not going to prevail until you return to keep the commandments. It says, and they were destroyed in many battles, very sore. And they were led captives into a land that was not theirs. That's talking about the spoil, man. What they call it, diaspora. Led away captive into the land which was not theirs, because they scattered blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans collectively as the nation of Israel. We went into several captivities, causing dispersion, man. And it said they were led captive into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their God was cast to the ground. Yeah, man. And their cities was taken by the enemies. Like in Luke the 21st chapter, man. Is that Luke 21? Hold on. I'm going to finish this and I'll get that. When it said the Gentiles were tried in Jerusalem, man, until the time of them Gentiles be fulfilled. Jude chapter 5, verse 18. Their cities were taken by their enemies. Jude 5:19. But now they are returned to their God and are come up from the places where they were scattered. That's talking about the spiritual restoration, man. That's why you should be praying that your soul be restored daily, man. You should be praying that the Most High restore your soul, man, and bring you back into the remembrance of you being an Israelite, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Jude 5:19. But now they are returned to their God and are come up from the places where they were scattered and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now, this is Jude 5:20. Listen up. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people and they sin against their God, let us consider that this should be their ruin. Yeah, because what is sin, man? Sin is the breaking of God's laws. And when you Israelites go and commit sin, you bring upon a curse on your nation, man. So, if they sin against their God, let us consider that this should be their ruin. And let us go up and we shall overcome them. That's what the heathen talking about, man. The heathen said the only way we can prevail over these Israelites, we have to get them to sin against their God. Because if there's no error in their nation, if there's no sin in their nation, these people are flawless, man. These people are invincible, man. These people are untouchable if there's no iniquity found in their nation. And so these heathen nations conspired against us and thought of several ways, various ways, to get you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to convert to their customs, traditions, to be wicked as hell, man. And now you barely own anything, man. Now look at the condition. Look at the repercussions we facing. Look at the conditions we in. All right? Jude chapter 5, verse 20. And let us go up, and it shall be their ruin. And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Jude 5:21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by. Lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world. Basically, the other nation said, man, and Jude 5:21, the other nation said, if it is not no iniquity in the nation of Israel, man, we're going to become a laughing stock to these people, man. These people are going to embarrass us, man. So as the nation of Israel, we got to get rid of iniquity. We got to get rid of transgression. It cannot be no iniquity in our nation, because long as iniquity is in our nation, then our God is not going to fight for us. He's not going to defend us. He's not going to protect us from these heathen nations, man. All right? It said at least their God defend them, man. Go down to Luke 21:24. That's it right there. Read that.
Luke chapter 21 and verse 24.
Uh-huh.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
It said the Jews would fall by the edge of the sword. If you know anything historically about the Roman-Jewish war, we know that Rome conquered Jerusalem and killed many Jews with the edge of the sword, man. Luke 21:24. Continue out. Continue to read out.
It says, and shall be led away captive.
They shall what?
They shall be led away captive
The Jews will be led away captive. Go ahead.
into all nations.
Into what?
All nations.
Into some nations.
All nations.
See, so the Jews was led away captive into all nations. So where are the real Jews at? Because the Bible tells you that the real Jews, that their holy city was trodden down during 70 AD by the Roman Empire, that the Romans went in, sacked Jerusalem under the orders of General Vespasian and his son Titus. They went in, they sacked Jerusalem, and they destroyed and killed many Jews. Also, many Jews was what?
It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive.
And many Jews were led away captive into captivity. Many Jews went into Rome as slaves. That's where you get the book of Romans from. It's not talking to the biological Romans. Paul was reaching out to the Israelite Gentiles. So it's calling themselves Romans. Go ahead.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
Uh-huh.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
So after we led away captives out of our holy land, it said our holy land will be trodden down by who?
Of the Gentiles.
Our holy land will be trodden down by who?
By the Gentiles.
By the Gentiles. So guess who's in our land today? A bunch of converts, a bunch of phonies, a bunch of fakes. They're not the real Jews, man. The real Jews was dispersed into the four corners of the earth for breaking God's commandments. You understand? Now go back to Isaiah 14, man, because I got a bone to pick with this Isaiah 14 chapter, man. We already done showed you, we done explained to you that Lucifer said that he will exalt his throne above the stars of God. His throne represents his rulership, man. He said he will exalt his throne above the stars of God. The stars of God are the 12 tribes, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are servants. You are slaves, man, in this system. And the so-called white man, which are the Edomites that the Bible speaks of, and these other nations have exalted their throne, man. That's talking about his rulership, man. They exalted that over us because we broke the commandments. Going back into the Apocrypha. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 7. So everyone shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby we are believed. 2nd Ezra 9 and verse 8. Shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my Lord and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. He's talking about the elect, man, because only the elect is going to wake up and rehearse these righteous acts and keep these commandments. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways. Now, how do you abuse? Give me Isaiah 30 and 9. How do you abuse the ways of the Lord, man? By not keeping the commandments. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 9 says, they shall be in pitiful case, which have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments, man. And that's what we're doing now. That's why Lucifer... Exactly, that's why Lucifer has exalted his throne above us. That's why he said that he would exalt his throne above the stars of God, and it also said that he would sit on the mount of the congregation. The stars of God in the mount of the congregation, that's talking about the house of Israel. That's talking about you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Because in 2nd Ezra, in the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra 9 and 9 says, they that have abused my ways, they should dwell in torments, man. We've been catching slavery 400 plus years, man. Give me Isaiah 30 and 9.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 9. It says that this is a rebellious people.
Isaiah 39 says this is a rebellious people, man. Read it again,
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 9.
God.
That this is rebellious. That this is a rebellious people.
Now, Israel is an obedient people. What it say?
Rebellious people.
Israel is faithful people. What it say?
Rebellious people.
It say Israel is rebellious people, man. We wicked as hell. We wicked as hell, man. Isaiah 39. Read on, that's it.
No, sir. That this is a rebellious people. Lying children.
Lying children. Go ahead.
Children that will not hear the law of the Lord.
Children that will not hear the law of the Lord, man. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. Isaiah 39 said you wicked as hell, man. And that's why I said in Ezra 9, verse 9, it says, whoever abused the ways of the Lord, they shall dwell in torments. Now, who abused the Lord's ways? You so-called Negroes, you so-called Negroes, and you Native Americans, man. You have abused the ways of the Lord, and you've been dwelling in torment ever since 1619. Before that, going all the way back in Egypt to Assyria, all the way down, man. You've been abusing the Lord's ways. Because we ain't never supposed to catch this. Lucifer never supposed to exalt his throne above the stars of God, man. And we're going to show you that. Give me what you got, Al.
Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 12. For thus said the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup.
They whose judgment was not to drink of the cup. See that? The nation of Israel judgment, you understand? It was not to drink of the cup. Now, the cup represents suffering, man. Just like the Messiah. He had to drink of the cup. What does that mean? He had to drink of the suffering. He had to go through persecution, man, and degradation, man. He had to go through that. The Messiah had to drink of that cup of suffering. It said Israel, the Messiah being an Israelite too. It said Israel really, if you look at it, and we would have kept the commandments, we ain't never supposed to drink of no damn cup, man. From the top up.
Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 12. For thus said the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup
They whose judgment was not to drink of the cup, go ahead.
have assuredly drunken.
We are what?
Assuredly drunken.
Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are what?
Have assuredly drunken.
See, slavery wasn't even started up for you. We ain't even supposed to go through slavery. But we went through it because that's the cup, man. Now, why did we go through it? I told you in 2 Ezra 9 and 9. He says, if you abuse his ways, that you were going to dwell in torments, man. And then we brought that out in Isaiah 30, verse 9, when it said Israel is a rebellious people. Children that would not hear the law of the Lord, man. So you damn right we drinking the cup, man. But see, we almost about finished with this. We on our last sip, man. We on our last sip. And these heathen nations, the rest of you heathen nations, you got to drink. Because when one go down, the other coming up. Who got next, huh?
We got next.
Who got next, huh?
We got next.
Who got next?
We got next.
For how long?
Forever.
How long?
Forever.
What we gonna do?
Set the kingdom.
What we gonna do?
Set the kingdom.
Win.
Now.
Win.
Now.
Win.
Now.
How? You all about sitting outside. How? You all about sitting outside. How? You all about sitting outside. Go on, yes, all out. So we drinking the cup because we broke the commandments. We ain't supposed to drink in this goddamn cup, man. Read on,
It says, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished?
That's talking about the heathen nations, man. That's talking about the rest of the heathen nations that did us wickedly, man. That have despitefully misused and mistreated us, man. It said what?
It says, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished?
So are you other wicked nations going to go unpunished? Are you other heathen nations, including the so-called white man, the Edomites? Are you going unpunished? Let's see what it says.
Thou shalt not go unpunished.
Thou shalt what?
Thou shalt not go unpunished.
Thou shalt not go unpunished. That's what the Bible says, man. What book, chapter, verse you in? I'll tell the people.
Jeremiah 49 and verse 12.
It says you shall not go unpunished, because we drink of the cup, and you heathens going to drink of the cup, man. As soon as we line back up with God, you heathens going into captivity and slavery, man. That's the only thing that's keeping us powerless. That's the only thing that's keeping us down in the rut. That's the only thing that's keeping us down in the valley, because we fail to keep God's commandments, man. We fail to keep God's commandments. As long as we don't keep God's commandments, the servitude and slavery hovers over us. So basically, when you look around and you say, man, we've been in slavery 400 plus years, that just reminds you that we haven't been keeping the laws 400 plus years. We've been going against God 400 plus years. We have not been true servants 400 plus years. We've been rebellious, sided people 400 plus years. We ain't listening to the law 400 plus years. Because the longer you choose not to subscribe to God's laws, statutes, and commandments, the longer the servitude and slavery prolong, man. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15 in the Apocrypha. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 22. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. Because we kill our brothers for no reason, man. A brother look at you the wrong way, you ready to pop something. And it's also talking about the other heathen nations that mistreated us. 2 Ezra 15 verse 22. My right hand shall not spare the sinners. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. 2 Ezra 15:23. The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and he hath consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Now watch this. Listen up. This is 2 Ezra 15:24. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, say the Lord. He said, woe to them who can only sin. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we can only sin because sin is ascribed to us, because sin is the transgression of the law, and we was given the law, nobody else. So 2 Ezra 15 verse 24 says, woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, say the Lord, man. Now give me Amos 9 and 10. Washington, give me Amos 9 and 10. He said, woe to them that sin. Woe to you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. What woe means? Destruction, man. Destruction to whosoever you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that want to continue to break God's commandments, that will not keep God's commandments. Then you wonder why the repercussions you face. Then you wonder why the circumstance you in. Then you wonder why we can't seem to go nowhere. We can't seem to get above and beyond. And you wonder why we always going through the rain. And we always suffering as a nation. Because you failed to keep the commandments. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments. 2 Ezra 15:25. I will not spare them. The Most High say he's not going to spare now one of you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that want to continuously break his laws, man. Give me Amos 9 and 10,
Amos chapter 9 verse 10.
Wait a minute. Amos 9 and 10, bring it out,
Amos chapter 9 verse 10. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword.
Amos 9 and 10 says, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword. Who are the Lord's people? The Israelites. Who are the Lord's people? The Israelites. Who are the Lord's people? The Israelites. What he said?
It says, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword.
All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword. That's it?
No, sir. Which say the evil shall not overtake.
They say the evil shall not overtake them. They think that they're not going to happen to them for violating the commandments of God. Read on out.
Nor prevent us.
See that? So all the sinners of the Lord's people going to die by the sword that want to scoff and make fun of saying the evil shall not overtake them, man. Amos 9 and 10. Now let's go back. Let's go back to 2 Ezra 15 verse 25. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. 2 Ezra 15 verse 26. For the Lord knows all them that sin against him, and therefore delivered he them into the death and destruction, man. You ain't, the Most High know all you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. He knows exactly what you're doing, man. You can't hide from the Most High. This world ain't big enough for you to hide in. Most High says, he knows all them that sin against him. And what he does ultimately, he delivers you up into death and destruction. 2 Ezra 15:27. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for God shall not deliver you because you have sinned against him. So if you want to get the hell up out of here, man, you want to get on those chariots, man. If you want to be delivered, and you want to be delivered from this upcoming ICBM missiles, this thermonuclear destruction, man, this third world war that's soon to touch down on Babylon. You want to be delivered from these explosions and this nuclear radiation, this nuclear destruction. You want to be delivered. got to set your house in order, man. That's the only reason why Isaiah 14, Lucifer saying what he's saying. Because we broke these commandments. Who is Lucifer? He's not a spiritual demon. He's not a spiritual entity. He's not some unseen avatar. Lucifer is the royal elite group of people that's known as the Edomites, the so-called white man that's running this earth, man. The Illuminati. That was started up back in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt in Bavaria, Germany, man. These royal elite group of people, they are the Luciferians. And they power going down, man. Give me that in Isaiah. What is that in Isaiah 34?
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 2. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations.
See that? The anger of the Lord, the indignation of the Lord is the anger of the Lord. Go ahead.
Is upon all nations.
It's upon all you heathen nations for what you did his people, man. Go ahead.
In his fury upon all their armies.
Say all your little military branches you have, it's not going to stand against the power of the Most High. Go ahead.
He hath utterly destroyed them.
He has utterly destroyed them, and this speaking in future tense because you nations, you already finished to the Most High, this people. Go ahead.
He had delivered them to the slaughter.
He had delivered them to the slaughter. Now remember, when we told you in Isaiah 14:21, prepare slaughter for the iniquity, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. Go ahead.
It says, Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 3. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their sting shall come up out of their carcasses. And the mountains shall be melted with their blood.
See, that's talking about these governmental kingdoms, man. The mountains shall be melted with their blood. Esau's kingdom's gonna be destroyed, man. Most High coming back to shed blood, man. The Most High and his son, Yahweh Shemi Al-Shah, is coming back to shed blood, man. You ain't seen nothing yet. You talking about these horror films. Cause the Christian church they've been talking about the wrong Savior, man. They've been talking about this white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. That ain't the Messiah according to the scriptures. The true Messiah coming back to shed blood. Read on,
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 4. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved.
All the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved. Now, them talking about the ones in rulership and great power. Go ahead.
And the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll.
See that? They power gonna be broken. Those are those royal elite families that's ruling this earth. They rulership is coming to an end. And guess what? He ain't gonna be sitting on the throne. Lucifer ain't gonna be sitting on no throne and ruling over the stars of God. And he also ain't gonna be sitting on the congregation of God no more. We finna dethrone him. Lucifer about to get dethroned. We finna take his crown. Go ahead, out. Isaiah 34 and 4. Go ahead.
It says, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll.
Heaven shall be rolled together as a scroll. Now what is that? That mushroom thermonuclear cloud, man. Thermonuclear destruction creates that gigantic mushroom cloud. Go ahead.
And all their hosts shall fall down.
All their hosts shall remain up.
And all their hosts shall fall down.
All their hosts shall continue to rule this earth.
And all their hosts shall fall down.
All their hosts shall fall down. And when you fall down, we coming up, man. Who got next?
We got next.
Who got next? We got next. Who got next? We got next. The saints shall take the kingdom, man. So when you go down, we coming up, man. Now watch this. Now you read contextually. Who is this talking about? Isaiah 34 and 5. Come on,
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 5.
Matter of fact, finish Isaiah 34 and 4. It says the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. Finish that.
And all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine.
Just like the leaf fall off the vine. Go ahead.
And as a falling fig from the fig tree.
Just like the fig fall from that fig tree, you heathen nations are falling down, man. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven.
My sword shall be bathed in the midst of their rulership. Go ahead.
Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea.
It shall come down upon who?
Idumea.
It shall come down upon who?
Idumea.
It shall come down upon who?
Idumea.
Idumea is the Greek name for Edom, man, which is you so-called white people, man. So whether you choose to believe the scriptures or not, man, your rulership is soon to come to an end, man. What it say? Give me that, what it say, Esau at the end of the world in the Apocrypha. Give me that. Said the sword shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse. Yeah, because the Most High curse came, going all the way back to the book of Genesis, the Most High curse came, and Cain came back as Esau, man, in the reincarnation. If you can receive that, brothers and sisters. Bring that out, book, chapter, and verse. Tell them where you at.
2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9.
Go ahead.
For Esau is the end of the world.
For Esau is the end of the world, man. And then we living in the times right now. Esau at the end of the world, the so-called white man rulership has come to an end, man. This system is getting ready to fail, man. This system is getting ready to crash. Go ahead.
It says, 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows.
Jacob is the what?
The beginning of it that follows.
Jacob is the what?
The beginning of it that follows.
Jacob is the what?
The beginning of it that follows.
We got next, Who got next?
We got next.
Who got next?
We got next.
Who got next? We got next. For how long?
Forever.
For how long? Forever. What are we going to do? Take the kingdom. What are we going to do? Take the kingdom. Win. Now. Win. Now. Yahweh Shimei shot. Esau is the end of the world. That's why when you read Daniel's, the 2nd chapter, concerning that gigantic statue that Nebuchadnezzar had that dream about, the end of that statue, the 10 toes are talking about the 10 coming markets. The 10 toes are talking about NATO, man. The revived Roman Empire. Now, ain't the toes is at the end of a person? So Esau is the end of the world, man. What else it say, out?
2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 10. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Ezra asked thou not.
See that? So Esau is the end of the world, man. One more book, chapter, and verse. One more book, chapter, and verse. We're going to close it down for the sake of time, man. We got to get up out of here. All praise to the Most High for this lesson. Matthew 19, verse 30. Bring it out.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 30. But many that are first shall be last.
That many that are first shall be last. Many that are first shall be last. Now, when Isaac and Rebekah had their 2 twin boys by the name of Esau and Jacob, we know they wasn't identical twins. We know they were fraternal twins. But when Isaac and Rebekah had their 2 twin boys in 25th chapter of Genesis, who came out first? Esau came out first, man. Esau came, it said, matter of fact, in Genesis 25:25, it said in the first. In the first. Emphasizing on that. It said in the first. Came out what? Red and hair. It said he came red. He came out red and hairy all over, I believe. Roughly paraphrasing. So when the first came out, the first that came out was Esau. Secondly, who came out secondly? Jacob. That's why I say we got next, because you Edomite, you're a ruler right now. You're a ruler, and your rulership has come to an end, man. And the Israelites is soon to rise, man, and take over this earth. What Matthew 19:30 says?
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 30. But many that are first shall be last.
Many that are first shall be last. Esau came out first. Go ahead.
And the last shall be first.
And the last shall be first. Now you can over enter and understand what it was saying in what they were saying in Ezra chapter 6. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9, you can over enter and understand why it said that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it. They'll follow it, because when that birth process was taking its course, when you go back and read read about when Rebekah was giving birth to her 2 twin boys, man, that's deep, man. That's spiritual, man. Everybody ain't gonna comprehend that. How Esau came out first and then Jacob came out secondly, holding his heel. Because the heel of a man is at the end. A man's heel is at the end of his body, man. And also, when Esau came out, I know I said it was gonna be the last verse. Salakia. I know I said this would be the last. I gotta get into this, man. Go back to Genesis 25, man. Because when they was born, it said that Jacob came out holding the heel of Esau. Now, what does that mean? We blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans getting ready to pull you Edomites down, man. We been had y'all heel, man. From the time Esau was born, it said when Jacob came out, he had hold of Esau's heel, man. Because we about to pull your structure, we about to pull your system down, man. We about to pull your power structure, and we about to pull your rulership down, man. Bring it out,
Genesis chapter 25 and verse 25.
Uh-huh.
And the first came out red.
And the first came out red. He came out first. It wasn't Jacob. So he ruling already, man. His rulership is taking its course already right now, man. You can't have this lot in the next lot, man. Because we got next. And you going down, we coming up. Go ahead.
And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment.
Uh-huh.
And they called his name Esau.
They called his name Esau, man. Ice rock in the Hebrew, which means wasted away. See, the pigmentation was wasted away when he was born, man. He had very little melanin in his flesh, man. Go ahead, Op.
Verse 26. Genesis chapter 25 and verse 26. And after that came his brother out.
And after that came his brother out. His brother came second. That's why you ruling first. That's why you so-called white people are ruling first. That's why you Edomites are ruling this earth first, man. Because Jacob came out second. Now, if Jacob would have came out first, who you think would be ruling? We would be ruling right now. But we got next. Go ahead, Op.
It says, and after that his brother came out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
And his hand took hold on what?
Esau's heel.
We grabbing y'all Edomites heel right now. We taking hold of your power structure. His hand took hold of Esau's heel. We taking hold right now of your power structure and your dominion in the earth, and we snatching it down, man. Go ahead, Op.
And his name was called Jacob.
And his name was called Jacob, man. Yaakov, man. Which means a supplanter. So we snatching y'all rulership, we snatching the system down, man. Through the spirit and power of the Al Shimmy outside. We snatching the system down, man. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is getting ready to rule this earth, man. And the rest of you heathen nations are going into captivity and slavery, man. Facts, man. Through the spirit and power of the Al Shimmy outside. Double honor to the elders, salutation to the brothers. And all blessings and be upon, all praises and blessings and glory be upon the elect, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel. Death and destruction to you 2/3 that want to continuously sin and that don't want to repent and make the exaggerated effort to keep God's laws, statutes, and the commandments. The hell and death with you other nations, man, including you 2/3 of the nation of Israel, man. And last but not least, death to the United States of America in the system, man. Death to Babylon. We coming up. We got next. Until next lesson, this has been another exclusive Solid Foundation Israelite Academy outreach lesson. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Help this movement. And we'll see you guys in the next edition. We say shalom.